welcome into Cross My Heart Ministry. I'm Laura McFarland. We are just delighted that you chose to spend part of your day with us. Well, if you're like me, you are looking at the calendar. It's flipped over to July. July is halfway over, and that means that summer is halfway over. And it's just a little daunting if you're a girl like me also who likes to postpone some of those tasks that you just can't seem to get to in the week to week and the month to month, and you think, this summer I'll get to that. Summer will be a good time to tackle that big task. And then summer comes and it's full and it just doesn't seem to happen. Well, today I want to talk about some ideas for redeeming summer. So I thank you for joining us for this segment. If you are a regular subscriber, welcome. Thank you. Welcome back. And if you are visiting us for the first time, we say welcome to you too. Now, either way, we want to invite you to go to check the box or actually click the box. And of course, I'm referring to that big red box that has the word subscribe in it. And if you click that and enter your Gmail address, we would be so profoundly grateful. That encourages us when we see our channel grow. Just a reminder, that is absolutely free to use. So go ahead and enter your Gmail address. You'll be able to find us and it will bless and encourage us. But today, because it's Monday, we have a Martha Monday video. We want to talk about redeeming the summer. And so in Psalm 90 verse 12, it says, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So when I think about numbering our days, that brings to mind ideas like redeeming our time and making our time count and really being a good steward of our time. Summer is a great time to relax. It's a break from the schedule. And if you're a Christian woman, if you're a mother with children at home, and today's video might make more application to women who have children still at home, but I think there's some application for all of you empty nesters and widows and single women and what have you as well. But the school year, when you're a Christian woman and you're serving in your church, or you're a mom with kids that are playing sports and have school projects and school schedules, summer is a welcome respite from all the busyness of life. We welcome summer. We're grateful for days that we don't have to set the alarm clock. We're grateful for days when the calendar has a lot of white space. And we're certainly grateful for those days when the car stays in the garage, especially with gasoline being over $4 a gallon. But we also don't want to sort of let the summer fritter away and come September sort of look back and think, oh, I wasted so much time. I wish that I'd tackled a couple of these projects. I wish that I'd taken advantage of that free time when I could have tackled some of this stuff instead of just letting each day sort of happen and it just sort of got frittered away and I wasted a lot of time. So rather than wasting a summer, I want to share some ideas for how you can still grab hold of summer that's left and do what I call redeem this summer. So I'm going to share today 10 ideas that you can tweak, change, modify, adapt to your life and your schedule. But I just want to share some ideas of how you can make summer count. Now, don't feel like you have to do all of these, but I just hope that maybe one would even resonate for you and your family and your life. So let's just get right to it. And I'm going to jump in with number one, and that is on my top 10 list of redeeming summer. Number one, make a list and make it realistic. Now, don't forget that qualifier. Make the list, but also make it realistic. My husband says that I'm such an optimist. In fact, he likes to say that I'm Tigger and he's Eeyore. So he's Mr. Pessimist, I'm Mr. Optimist. But if there's a downside to being an optimist, it's that I always make the list too aggressive and too optimistic. And if the list is way long, I'm setting myself up for failure because it's all never going to get done. If you make the list realistic, and you get most of it done, then you can celebrate. Kevin says if you don't plan for anything, then you're never going to be disappointed. So I think we sort of pull each other to a healthy middle place. So how does that work out practically? Let's say that you look around your house and your summer goal is get the house painted. The whole inside of your house needs to be painted. Well, maybe that's not really a very realistic goal. Maybe it would be more realistic to say, let's try to get the living room painted this summer. And then next summer we'll paint the bedroom or the kitchen, or maybe over spring break we'll tackle one of those. So instead of telling yourself, we're gonna get the whole house painted this summer, maybe if you just paint a room or two, that's a more realistic goal. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe your goal has been to set up some menu planning over the summer. Have a set of menus and then the grocery list that goes with it. So that when you have maybe you want to do a whole month of menus. Well, maybe that's unrealistic. So perhaps what you could do is take some time this summer to do a week of menus and go through your recipes and make the list of ingredients that go with those dishes that you want to make in 1 week. And so maybe a whole month is overwhelming, but 1 month is doable. So whatever you're going to put on your list, make a goal, but make it realistic so that it's also attainable. That's number one. Make a list and make it realistic. Number two, solicit some family feedback. You know, I think I was really guilty as a mom to sort of set my agenda for the summer and what I wanted to accomplish. But it's always good for us to realize that there are other people that live under our roof and they may have some ideas of what they would like to do. And even if you're an empty nester, you might want to invest some time in your grandchildren. And so you might ask them, what would you like to accomplish this summer? Is there something we could do together? And so, even if you're a single person, maybe you've got a good friend and maybe God could use you to help her accomplish something that she's wanted to do or visit or see or make happen over the course of the summer. So an example might be this. Let's say your granddaughter has always wanted to sew, or your daughter has wanted to operate your sewing machine. Okay, home economics isn't necessarily taught in the school system anymore. When I was in middle school, we all took home ec, and that doesn't necessarily happen anymore. And so a lot of young women don't have a sewing machine, don't know how to thread a sewing machine. So if that's you and you have one, maybe this would be the summer to make sure that the teenager in your life knows how to thread the machine. Maybe the two of you could work together and make a pillow or an apron or something small. And that would create a sweet memory and also give her a life skill. Maybe another grandchild has always wanted to visit the state capitol. And so maybe you're going to make a road trip, and that's going to be on your summer list as you get feedback from the family. Maybe your husband's big thing that would make him happy is to get the garage cleaned out. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but hey, we got to keep our man happy. So maybe cleaning everything out and starting early with the heat that we're facing, maybe that would be something to get on his list. So when you make your goal for the summer and what would redeem the summer, don't just think about what you want, but get some family feedback from family or maybe even from a friend, somebody that you're going to do something with. So that's number two. Number three, establish a soft schedule. Now, this one really applies to those that have kids still at home. You know, when I was a kid, and then even as we had kids of our own, summer just seems to be a time that everybody stays up late, they sleep in, we just throw the schedule to the wind, and everybody kind of does their own thing. And that's kind of fine for a while, but you know, August is coming and school is starting, and it can be a jolt to everybody's system when they have to suddenly backpedal and start getting up at 6:30 in the morning if they've been sleeping until 11. And so maybe start to institute a soft schedule and say, I'm not going to make you get up at 6:30, but I'd like everybody to be out of bed and dressed and have your bed made by 8 or 8:30. And actually, that's just a good plan even for us grown-up empty nester ladies, that after you retire, maybe you've developed some bad habits of sort of wandering around in your bathrobe and sipping your coffee and getting around to getting dressed by 10 o'clock. So maybe having a schedule and a routine would be good for all of us, that it doesn't have to be 6:30 in the morning, but maybe whatever time you decide is going to work, that you're going to make sure you're out of bed, you're going to make your bed and get dressed and have your coffee and have your time with Jesus and just sort of have that routine. And so maybe this is a good time of the year to sort of cultivate those good healthy habits so that on the morning you do have to be up and out the door to volunteer or go to Bible study or get to an appointment, you're already into that good healthy routine. I love order. I love getting up early. And you know, God is a God of order. He gave us seasons. He gave us night and day. And so I think it honors Him and helps us sort of redeem our time when we have a little bit of structure to our day. So number three, establish a soft schedule. Number four, family fun in your backyard. Now, that may be your literal backyard, possibly. So maybe what you're going to put on your list is having a cookout in your backyard and inviting the neighbors. Or maybe the kids or the grandkids want to do a camp out in the backyard. maybe it is the literal backyard, but what I was really thinking is your expanded backyard. So I want to challenge you to do this. Get a map, and some of us don't even use maps anymore, so maybe pull out your phone and try to look at the screen, but sort of draw a circle around where you live that represents a 1 hour driving boundary. And when you look at that circumference all around your house, where are the places that you haven't visited that other people come to visit? Maybe there's a battleground, maybe there's a state park or a national park, maybe there's a hiking trail, a really cool water park or an amusement park, a museum, whatever it is that you've always intended to visit and you've just never gotten around to it. Maybe that would be something that you would do this summer. You know, isn't it odd that the places that are closest to us are often the things that we overlook? People may drive long distances or even get on a plane to come and visit those places and monuments and special scenic spots that are close to us, but because they're close to us, we just never get around to doing that. So make that list, tick off one now, maybe fall or spring break you'll do another one and then visit a different one next summer, whatever that is. Maybe make a list of the things that are in your own backyard. Okay, number 5, consider a mini mission trip. And by a mini mission trip, I mean a service project, something that you can do to bless another organization or even an individual in your hometown, where you live, in your community. A lot of times we take mission trips and we travel long distances to serve, but why not grab the kids or the family or the grandkids and choose an organization to bless in your community? If you're passionate about the homeless shelter or the food bank or the crisis pregnancy center, call up that director and say, I'd like to come in one morning in the month of July and bring my kids or my grandkids, and we'll do any sort of manual labor. I just want to serve and serve with my children. We'll sort clothes, we'll wash windows, we'll weed flower beds, put down mulch, whatever you need us to do. Could we give you 3 or 4 hours? And I'm confident that that organization would love to accept your volunteer hours. You know, it's easy to write a check and make a donation, and that's always good. And we need to offer our tithes and our offerings over and above our tithe to help those organizations and bless those organizations that are doing such good work. But sometimes giving our time is a greater sacrifice because it's so limited. Time is a great resource, and when we give it away, it really means something. Scripture tells us that it's more blessed to give than to receive, and what better way to teach that to our children instead of just telling them that than actually doing it with them. It might even be an individual that you decide to bless rather than an organization. Maybe there's an elderly person in your community or even on your street that just isn't able to take care of their yard like they used to. And so they would be blessed by you cleaning out some flower beds or putting down some mulch or coming in and washing their windows or washing their car. And what a great time that would be to sort of interact with that elderly person and let these youngsters in your life see you doing that and loving on the elderly in where you live. Okay, number 5, consider a mini mission trip. Now, number 6 is summer reading. Now, maybe you say, Laura, I got this one covered. I'm way ahead of you. I'm already a reader. I read. I have a book going. I read every night before I go to bed. I love to read. Love, love, love to read. Well, I say that's great. That's fabulous. But I want to challenge you to maybe go a little deeper. If you always just read some fiction and you're just always chasing that good story, I want to challenge you to maybe go back and read a classic. You can find any one of a number of lists that tell you what those classic novels are that we maybe read or were supposed to read in high school, or maybe read some nonfiction, read a biography, or read about a historical era in the world, or read about something new that you'd like to learn about. So let's challenge ourselves to expand our minds and learn a new skill or learn about a new period in history, but gravitate over to that nonfiction section of the library instead of just always chasing a story and reading something that might be a little predictable. You know, when my children were young, I remember my daughter Ginger, I was suggesting she might want to try the Nancy Drew books because I enjoyed reading those when I was a kid. And she says, oh, Mom, they're just so predictable. It's sort of the same plot, and they just sort of change the setting and the characters a little bit, but you just always know how it's going to turn out. And I thought, wow, a literary critic, and she's only 8 or 10 years old or whatever, but she was probably right. And so what do we really learn, or how do we really stretch ourselves if we just always read a work of fiction? So I started a little rule or suggestion with my own children and encourage them to make sure that every other book was a nonfiction book. So if they read a work of fiction, then I just encouraged them to read a nonfiction book. So we took our milk crate to the library every week and loaded up. And the great thing about the library is Mom can always just say yes. We just load it up. We go to the department store, the grocery store, and I'm always saying no, no, no. But the library, it's all free. So we would load up all those books, and I just encouraged them to get some nonfiction. They read a lot of biographies, they read a lot of fiction, a lot of historical biographies and history, and it was good for them. And so you might not want to make every other book a work of nonfiction, but maybe challenge yourself to every 4 or 5 books or so, read something in a different genre than what you typically go to. It will be good for you. So that's number 6, summer reading. And if you want a tip also on what to read, there's a link below to a couple of videos I did some time ago on what I was reading, and I had some book recommendations. So maybe one of those would be something you would want to try. Number 7 is to organize those photos. Now this one I'm nailing myself. This is Laura preaching to herself, because every summer this is on my list. Get those photos organized, and my photos are all over the place. They're tucked in different places. Some of them aren't printed because after we switched to digital, they're just on a file someplace. And of course, I'll take 4 or 5 pictures to make sure I get a good one, and they need to be purged. You don't need 5 of the same thing. It's just an overwhelming, daunting task. And I really want to get those tackled and in albums, and it's just a tad bit overwhelming. So that's on my list. I think what I'm going to challenge myself to do is apply number 1 about making it realistic, and try to just start at the most recent year and tackle it 1 year at a time and just kind of keep going forward. So that's one where I'm telling on myself. Maybe your photos are all taken care of, but that's an area that I really need to work on. That's always on my summer list. Number 8, do a drawer a day. You know, our drawers can get organized and then they just get messy again. We're getting company, or we're just tidying up and we want to see a clean counter, and we just sort of shove it all into a drawer and close it, and it's out of sight and it's out of mind. Until we open that drawer again, and then we feel shame, or it just mocks us, and we think, oh, I need to clean this out. You know, cleaning out one drawer is not really that difficult. It really doesn't take that long to organize just one drawer, but yet we have a hard time making it a priority. If you have been printing our Do It list that we publish each month, it has on there to purge a closet or organize a drawer. And I've taught this idea before, my Spam It method, which is sort, purge, arrange, maintain. So you can use that Spam It method as you tackle one drawer a day. And so the way that works is you dump everything out of the drawer, you sort it all out into piles that are throw away, put away, give away. Those little titles are from Emily Barnes. I read one of her organization books way back in the 80s, and I've never forgot those 3 taglines. So throw away the trash, sort it, decide how you're gonna organize it back in the drawer. Maybe you need some little baskets or dividers, put it away, and it doesn't take that long to do just one drawer. What I also want to encourage you to do is double up on that time by being a multitasker, which we women are so good at doing, and call a friend, phone a friend, and while you're talking to her, you could be sorting and purging and organizing that drawer. Way back when we had young kids, my friend Kathy and I would talk on the phone every day at 8:30. And that was usually my dusting time. I would get one room dusted while I talked to Kathy. We had our quick 10 or 15 minute catch up for the day. I got to connect with my friend. I got a room dusted, and voila, double duty, multitasking. It was a beautiful thing. So why not redeem the time, get one drawer a day purged, organized, sorted, all taken care of, tackle one drawer a day, and at the same time, call your mom, call your sister, call your friend, call your daughter, catch up, and then you'll almost look forward to that drawer time. And if you start now and do one drawer a day, even 3 or 4 days a week, you will systematically go through your house and get a lot of drawers taken care of and organized by the end of the summer. And it will bring you such pleasure. I'm sure you will find yourself just swing over and pulling out that drawer just for the sheer pleasure of seeing how it's all organized, and it's no longer mocking you. When you get back to the bedroom, you're probably going to find that there's some old t-shirts that you don't wear. There's some things that have holes. There's some stuff that just needs refolded, organized, given away, what have you. If you're doing it in the kids' rooms, it's great life skill training. So get your children to do it with you in their own rooms. It's also a great way to start taking inventory before it's time to do that back to school shopping and know what they've outgrown, what still fits, what might need a button sewn back on or needs repaired or what have you. Just training them how to organize their drawers can be a good life skill, and so great to get that done early before, again, all the busyness and the hectic news schedules of fall jump in and start again. So that's number 8, do a drawer a day. Number 9, plan a coffee or lunch date with a friend. You know, we all have those friends that we love, that we connected with for a season, and then life begins to happen. Maybe it was another mom and your kids were on the same soccer season, and then they change teams and you just don't see her anymore. Or maybe there's a woman that was your Bible study buddy, and then she went back to work full time and she's no longer going to your study, or something like that happened. There's all sorts of different things that our lives change and your schedules shift, and you just don't see some of those people that you really care about. There's not been a falling out, there's just sort of been a drifting away. But their faces pop up on Facebook, or there's a memory that's shared, or they're having a birthday and you see that. So why not take a moment and pray and say, Lord, who should I connect with? And when that person comes to mind, send her a private message or send her a text and say, hey, are you available to get together this week? I miss you. I'd love to reconnect. And that can just be a sweet time of catching up on what's going on in her life or with her children, asking her how you can pray for her. Just renew that sweet friendship and being intentional about making it happen. It might end up being something you decide to treat yourself to a connection like that once a month, who knows? But be intentional about planning that coffee date or lunch date with a friend that you haven't seen for a while. And then number 10 is do a few freezer meals. Whether you still have children at home or whether you're an empty nester, we all have those days that the time is just going to get away from us because it's just going to be jam-packed. Maybe it's a day that you know you're going to the dentist, you're getting your hair cut, you're getting your eyes examined, you've got a bunch of errands to do, a bunch of appointments. It's just going to be full. If you've got something already prepared ahead and in the freezer, that morning you can take that out of the freezer, put it in the fridge, and when you get home, it's not that mad rush of figuring out what to fix for dinner. If you've got kids, it might be you're running to piano lessons and sports schedules and all sorts of stuff, and same thing. You've got that stockpiled in the freezer. If you're an empty nester or retired, there still could be a great need because somebody in your community group is going to be sick, or there's a medical need or a death in the family, and taking a meal over would be very helpful, a way to love on them. And if there's something in the freezer, you guessed it, you can just throw a salad or some bread with that and you are good to go. So having something ready in the freezer just has us prepared to love on others, or to avoid that run through the drive-thru on the way home to get something that's not as good, not as healthy, and costs a lot of money. So stockpiling a few freezer meals will give you a lot of freedom to be prepared. And I just always feel good knowing I've got something ready to go in the freezer. So there you have it. There's my top 10 ways for redeeming summer. I hope at least one of those sort of has your wheels turning and thinking about something that you might be able to do to bless your family and to redeem the summer and make the most of your time. Want to remind you again, not suggesting that you try to do something from all 10 of these ideas, but just pick one or two and then tweak that idea, modify it, adapt it, make it work, make it fit in your life and in your family. And leave me a note below and let me know which one has sort of piqued your interest. Which one are you going to consider incorporating into your summer? Or maybe instead of me inspiring you with my top 10, you could inspire us. So if there's something that you've already done or you're planning to do in your life or with your family to redeem the summer, leave us a note below and let us know what that is, and maybe we'll be inspired to try your idea as well. You know, after living on this planet for as many years as I have, I love having a plan to redeem the time and just sort of make the most of the opportunities that the Lord has given us. I think everything that we have is a gift from Him. Our time, our talent, and our treasure. And I want to be a good steward of that. There is a place for rest and respite, and certainly we don't want to try to do all these things on the list and end summer with a clean house and a painted house and organized drawers and a cleaned out garage and just be so exhausted that we're unable to really get excited and engaged to serve and do all the things that the school year or the ministry year at church will bring. But we also don't want to look back with regret and just sort of feel like we squandered or wasted that time that the Lord has given to us. Let's make the most of the opportunities that He gives us to steward what He's given us well, to love on others well, and to make the most of every opportunity to bring Him glory. I hope wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that you are intentionally and prayerfully redeeming your summer. For Across My Heart Ministry, I'm Laura McFarland. Thanks for spending part of your day with us.